our faith and our Catholicity informs, of course, all that we do, right? So much of our work is in those three different categories. So we'll produce work that Mark has produced work that is sacred. It's meant for prayer. It's meant for worship, like in a sacred space. We also produce work that's contemporary and religious. And that could be in your home altars and different spaces. And then decorative art and art for art's sake, I really believe in like God's great cathedral is nature. So Mark and I do a lot of nature work, a pretty big body of work within nature that is, and it's informed where we live and our background and who we are, being in the West in Colorado.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of times people think that, oh, you're a Catholic artist, so you do sacred art. It's like Mozart wrote operas and masses. Artists need to do everything. And so unfortunately, we get truncated a lot as Catholics. And so when we were studying theology, people were like, why are you getting a theology degree? I was like, to be a better artist. Because the more you can know the creator, the better you can create.
Yeah, that's
and it's just such a gift. So a lot of times it's also the first way of evangelization is art.
And beauty, right?
So if you have a giant Jesus painting at your front door, all right, that's great. But maybe a buffalo, and then around the corner is the giant Jesus painting, right? So like houses need a lot of things, and so do offices. And unfortunately, so many of our middle spaces in the church, so like the lobby of the office, that'd be a great place for a beautiful landscape, as opposed to just like a banal sort of generic thing. Because those are the ways we start moving into the sacred. So.
No, I totally understand what you're saying. So we have this great art inside our churches, and then the other parts of the building, maybe this bland space, but I'm not trying to be, I'm kind of blunt sometimes, but,
It's okay.
But okay. But every part of the facility leads us towards that contemplation, prayer, leading us towards Christ in some way. Is that what your art is trying to convey to people?
Yeah. Or the other side of it with the church, sometimes it's Jesus in every corner, which eventually kind of diminishes the actual beautiful one you have in the church, right? You really want to have beautiful things, but you can't have like, I've been to one church where like literally every wall had something Jesus and Mary on it. It's like, it's too much Jesus and Mary. They're not every single corner. Like, and so you need to have the quiet of other things to have the loud of the sacred space.
Okay. No, it totally makes sense. So do you do a lot of your work with individuals? Do you do it with churches? How's that looking right now?
That's a great question.
Well, we do a combination of things. So on our website, there's 3 categories that we work towards, basically how we do what we do. The first one is we help people understand the concept that people are like, I want to buy original art and be supportive, but that's very intimidating to a lot of people, especially people who aren't in the art world. They know that it's good, that they know they should participate in this, but they don't know. So we kind of take the guesswork out of it. So we're really to work with any patron, whether it's for a church or whether it's for your great hall or whether it's for your home or even your businesses. People, you're going to see, I love that right now there's a huge movement in our businesses in our country to bring in and support original artwork with whether it's a doctor's office. You kind of start seeing it, you pay attention to it. I was like, oh, that's original work from an artist. And realtors' offices, brokers, anywhere, broker office, staging homes for real estate. We can do all that. The other thing, Mark, I'm gonna let Mark talk about the other thing we do.
Well, so the other interesting thing that we've realized is, so a lot of times Father knows he needs a beautiful piece of art for his church, right? But the boiler went out. So his first thing is thinking, I got to get the boiler fixed for heat for the winter. So we've also made up a model of art for fundraising as well. Oh, cool. Because we want to help people realize that like there's a connectiveness that you can have. So an original piece in the facility and then a reproduction for your people. So all the people in the parish can have that. Because one thing that I think Americans, we love to go places and see the thing and come home with the art. Well, that should be our own churches. We should have that. We should have a sense of pilgrimage when we go places. And like Nicole was saying, a lot of really high-end restaurants and hotels are getting back to original art, which is beautiful to see. And then they're starting to realize people like have a connection when they go to a convention, they see that art. So there's just people want more tangible, especially in the digital age. And so we have a fundraising model that we can help with people. I mean, the other practical thing is we do payments, because again, no one actually understands this, but we all have $1,000 in our pocket, right? Our iPhones, but no one would pay that for an iPhone. Payment plans change everything.
Yeah,
One of the other
absolutely.
things we do to build community and evangelize, kind of springboarding off these two concepts and ideas, is that we can, what was that part where I totally just blanked on what I was going to say. Oh, building community. Sorry. Thank you. We can come in and bring in a piece, talk about the piece, do kind of like what would be considered like a book signing, but where you can be supportive of the original artwork, and then again bring that out into the community where people can buy the reproduction and be a part of that experience within their churches and community.
Because that's one of the things that having original art is, you actually have access to artists. So when they say, why is that blue? They can tell you, as opposed to guessing. And I always say this, like Caravaggio and Michelangelo, they're doing just fine. Their estates are great. And everyone loves these classics, but we can't just live in the past. We need to, like, if we're going to build a culture of life, we have to actually build the culture part of the culture of life. And most original artists, when you have access to them, they can explain, they can talk, they can educate. And really, the art becomes an encounter more than just a thing on the wall. And that's really, I think that's what makes Catholics different, is we have that beautiful encounter that the scripture's alive for us. It's not just no book. And so when our art doesn't reflect that, we lose that sense of the incarnation. And that's what we need kind of everywhere. We need to have better things. Catholics should have better things, because we have a better story. We have the story of Jesus Christ.
Well